Welcome and hello and hello and welcome and thank you for joining me on this very special, very unusual edition of Poco Moss, the show where we give you just a little bit more. Today, I wanted to talk about Tesla, something new. I know a lot of you guys are long-term Tesla investors. I know the great Alberto Berti Aviles, for instance. I know he plays Tesla options and sells Tesla options and writes options and all that fun stuff. So it's a stock people are interested in. Let's be honest. It's a stock I've been invested in, as many of you know, I believe since 2016. I got in early, not for a ton. I'm not one of these Lambros or anything, but I got in this stock how I get in most stocks. And let me go ahead and share my screen with you turds. There's like 3 of you watching. I live down in Southern California. Tesla had, part of their offices based down here. And SpaceX is right down here in Hawthorne, right in my backyard. And I, do rental property. And I was in the, renting my properties in the El Segundo, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach areas. And I kept getting these kids, applying for my properties. And they were working at some place called SpaceX. I didn't even, really know what these places were back at the time. And then some of them started working for Tesla. And I'm seeing these kids in their 20s making massive amounts of money. And they're talking, touring an apartment, telling me about how they're going to change the world. And all these things are going on. That's when I started, doing, more research and this was when the whole like Model 3, as that started to roll out, I started to invest and, made some money on it. I've gone in and out. I haven't been perfect in terms of like my timing or anything. Don't claim to call the tops and the bottoms, but overall, made a tremendous amount of money on the stock. It's really hard to say because, people want to talk about whether this stock is overvalued, undervalued. I mean, you have the, Gordon Johnsons who said, it's a busted growth story. It's never going to make a penny. It wouldn't make a penny without subsidies. It's worth, basically nothing or less than nothing. You have, the Wedbush, the Dan Ives, who, are perennial Tesla bulls. There's many of them out there. I think he's a pretty realistic guy. I just think he consistently kind of gives Tesla and Elon Musk like the benefit of the doubt. But I think they've kind of earned that because Elon Musk has shown that he's capable of, doing some very difficult things. I mean, think about the last time somebody actually created a car company from scratch, from the ground up. And he did that, created an EV company, basically an entire paradigm shift that's taking over the entire world. So that's no small task. And then, you talk, and I know people are saying, well, he has a lot of engineers, he has teams of thousands of people. I understand all that, but it doesn't matter. I realize everything is team based, but every team, needs a quarterback. Every army needs a general, whatever the case may be. Somebody's giving the orders. The buck stops somewhere. Someone's accountable, for the overall strategy. And that guy, of course, Tesla, SpaceX, etc., is Elon Musk. So I just think you have to give the guy a tremendous amount of credit for his ability to execute big ideas and, in fact, conceive big ideas. I mean, who thought you could, do these slingshot catch of a rocket booster and reuse the thing? I would catch itself. But he's unlocking, so many things that I think a lot of scientists and engineers may have felt were impossible, through the use of AI, computing, all these other, technologies that he sort of applies to everything, that he touches. And kind of, his businesses look like other businesses, but they're not like other businesses. They're unique. So let's just talk about, Tesla earnings. I'm not going to try to go over the numbers. There's like 5 million guys who did that. But obviously, if you see the 12% pop after hours all the way to, 240, $26, it just sold off just a little bit during the day. Kind of followed the indexes and stuff in that regard. But everybody was afraid of earnings. Everybody was telling, everybody that it was going to be weak. and that a lot of the vehicle sales were in China. Things were weak in Europe and the US. And because of the, price war in China, the margins were going to be weak. Looks like they underestimated the impact of the Cybertruck margins. That's a very high margin vehicle. None of the sort of cheaper ones materialized. So everybody who's buying a Cybertruck right now, I think, is paying like over $100,000. And that's, a high gross margin item. Their operating cash flows were back like $6 billion. Which is just outstanding. Free cash flows, I believe, were over $3 billion. Again, I have to go back. I just took a glance at this, but there's a million guys who do videos and break down all the numbers. I'm an idea man, guys. I'm not somebody who can give you, specifics, answers. I'm not somebody who does hard work, TPS reports. I throw out a concept and, I go off and I get some fajitas. And I let the nerds down in accounting sort it all out. Of course, that's a legitimate expense report. You have the temerity to question the veracity of my conclusions? How dare you? Anyway, guys, hello and welcome and hello. I don't know if we have any new viewers, old viewers, any viewers at all. But we're talking Tesla. So what did Elon Musk say? I just want to give you guys some, I could go over this Bloomberg article, but, it just goes over the same thing that if you're invested in Tesla, you've probably already heard like 10 times by now. But third quarter earnings were buoyed. I love that word, buoyed by sales of, reminds me of Howard Stern show, Baba Booey, one of my Gary Telebot. I don't know why. I just love that word. Buoyed, Baba Booey. The Cybertruck, which turned a profit for the first time, its energy storage was really, really strong. And a spike in regulatory tax credits. A good old regulatory tax credits. They go ahead and sell to other automakers because those automakers can't meet the efficiency rules, or they don't even try. I mean, see like Stellantis or whatever. There's a lot of these legacy automakers that need to alms for the, their regulatory credits for the antiquated who can't adapt. May I have some more, Elon? He's like, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to get to Mars. And ooh, how do you say that? Ebullient? I always miss that one. Spent a long portion, ebullient? That's going to really annoy me. Spent a long portion of Wednesday's call at a monologue that promised to make Tesla the most valuable company in the world. And this is pretty exciting, starting with 20 to 30% delivery growth next year. Musk, who is known for missing overly optimistic timelines, said Tesla aims to officially roll out ride sharing in Texas and California next year. This is what I talk about with my questions. Timeline, regulatory, strategy. It does not look like you're going to make a full-fledged business next year. I could believe you could get into testing, but I sort of feel like once you get, regulatory approval to test on a limited basis, that testing process is probably going to take a couple of years. I mean, Elon Musk is talking about if Trump, wins the presidency, he'll become an efficiency czar and he'll streamline everything, and he'll take all the vehicle, laws and take it from the states and streamline full self-driving adoption from the federal government down. Probably they could force that on states through, withholding like gas tax or highway funds. The federal government, if it really wants to be a bully, can impose its will on states to a certain degree. I mean, certain federal courts, it depends where you are. Like different circuit courts are more favorable toward federalism, federal power. More sort of conservative leaning courts will be more deferential to the states. And it's kind of that push and pull. That is the spicy sauce we call federalism. Anyway, guys, welcome and hello, and welcome and hello. Thank you for joining me on a very special edition of Un Poco Mas. We're talking Tesla, of course, ticker symbol TSLA. It's an EV company, guys. They have factories in America, in China, in Europe. I guess they're going to be building one in Mexico. They're talking about India. A lot of people, said, Tesla's going to build 2 factories every year, and by the end of 2030, they're going to be making this massive number of vehicles. But I don't even think that's not even Elon Musk's strategy in the real world. Like, his strategy is to build a more limited number of robots that are configured as cars. They're rolling robots, and let those robots make him money. Like, let those robots make Tesla money. Let those robots make their fleet owners money. Whatever it is, that's his model. I don't think he wants to try to, build, 15 million, $15,000 little shit boxes that look like a Chevy Sprint or something. And in fact, he can't win that game. He can't win that low tech, high volume, low cost game. Companies like BYD, these other state run companies in China, they've already beat him to the punch. I mean, how is Tesla going to compete with these vehicles coming out of China? They'd be foolish to do that. So I think Elon Musk, it sounds like in his comments, he's like, we'd be foolish to do a race to the bottom, try to do a passenger car sub $25,000. I mean, if you strip down a Model 3, the cost is already entirely reasonable for somebody that can afford a new car. I mean, I saw, I think it was Roy and maybe it was Deadliest Catch Chris. I can't remember. A couple of the guys, a couple of the Canadian Fin Herd Mafia guys were on Tevis's channel doing a Tesla recap, and they're talking about cost of ownership. No, it was that good-looking young 5 o'clock shadow guy, Nate. Was that Nate? I always heard about Nate. I was hoping he was old and ugly. At least he's going to be rich and intelligent. At least could he be old and ugly? It looks like one of these guys off of like Road Rules, one of those MTV summer house shows where he's just, banging chicks right and left. Probably girls from Jersey, maybe Mass. I went to UMass, but I flunked. Wonderful. Anyway, guys, welcome and hello. I see the big Paul Brown. Peanut butter and igloos, we call him. What's up, Captain? Yeah, we got Captain Dan, Uncle Dan, the Raider fan. Thought I got my Raiders captain hat out in honor of the anniversary of the film Captain Ron. Highly underrated movie. Looking for a swab. Get your own beer, swab. Anyway, no, I don't know if it's the anniversary of that movie, but I like that movie. It was funny. Like, there's gorillas in that jungle, boss. Like, I assure you there are no gorillas. I just like Martin Short anyway. Martin Short's really good. I think underrated comedian, Jiminy Glick. I mean, if you haven't seen some of the Jiminy Glick highlights, that character is absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen as a portly prognosticator, a chunky stock monkey myself, I'm not really a fan of people, making fun of those of us with weight issues, those of us of generous proportions. But no, it's just hilarious. Love Martin Short. Anyway, that's an aside, but I wanted to get back to the topic at hand, of course, which is Tesla, which is un poco más. Musk also said that production of a dedicated robo-taxi, which he calls the Cybercab, will reach volume production in 2026. And the company's aiming for at least 2 million units and maybe 4 million ultimately. It's like, I love Elon Musk because he leaves such an open range, and it's just, he says like, hey, my timelines are vague and I won't make it, so don't hold me to it. He's like, my fingers are crossed. I have a, rabbit's foot up my ass. Like, don't hold me to this. Hold my beer, you punk ass basic bitches. I'm going to go catch a rocket booster. Father like 12 genius kids, whatever. It's like, dude, the guy's just doing his own thing. He's on course. Anyway, let's go on with this, dry article. It's so dry. It's like a turkey on Thanksgiving. Why does everybody want to eat turkey? The whole bird it's all so dry. You overcook it. Why can't you get a goddamn meat thermometer, Aunt Doris? At a certain point, it's done. And by the way, the temperature is going to come up another 10 degrees after you take it out of the oven. Thing's going to keep cooking. Take it out. It's done. Anyway, guys, I hate dry turkey. I noticed that most of the people watching have left, and I can't blame you. I don't normally talk about Tesla. I want to see if anybody wanted to hear about it, and I'm not really talking about Tesla, though. Again, I'm talking mostly about my own issues. But Musk also said production. So 2026, investors who wanted something today got better than they expected. Profit and guidance, growth and deliveries, said Gene Munster, Deepwater Asset Management. The long-term investors got the golden carrot. And I know the promise is there, but everybody knew that the robo-taxi was coming, that that's the goal. And I'm going to give you my opinion. Like, the robo-taxi is just the Model 3 skateboard. It's the same thing. They're not making anything new by 2026. He already said they're not making an economy car. Why make a new platform? I mean, it's okay, 30 grand. So, I mean, with the Model 3's been down in the high 30s, like for the single motor, I saw it down like, I don't know, I think 38 grand, brand new. Maybe that was with subsidies. Maybe it's 42, 40. But if you start taking everything out of that thing and you produce it at a massive scale and you take out screens and you take out steering wheels, all the controls for the stereo, all the bells and whistles, you start to take out, you know, the heated seats, you start to just strip that thing down. Just strip it down. I think that's what you get with this robo-taxi. It's got a different shell on it. I think it's brilliant. Tesla's strategy is just when they've had all this pressure to build this, build that. They're like, listen, Model 3, Model Y, they were already better than anything else anyone had at the price point, by far. An extremely compelling proposition for a consumer. And then they made the Model 3 a lot better. They're about to make the Model Y a lot better. I know they're constantly improving. Everybody talks about how their engineering is always in motion, and that if you bought a Model 3 a year ago, the Model 3 you get now might have 30 improvements that you don't even see. They don't even do press releases, but it makes it less expensive, more efficient, more reliable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you just can't argue with that. I mean, Tesla has incredible engineering. They have an incredible process. They encourage innovation. They encourage simplicity. They encourage stripping things down. It looks like other auto companies, if you ever work on cars, or they try to make things unnecessarily complicated, more complicated, harder to understand, harder to fix. I mean, Tesla's just taken a completely novel approach to how they engineer things, how they look at things. More is not better. It's reflected in their interiors. It's reflected in their features. It's not more and more and more and more. They give you what's actually functional, what you need, not necessarily what you want in every, wet dream you have about a car. Every Lambro with a tiny wing, maybe they don't think a Model 3 is sexy, but if the right big man's driving it, that Model 3 is sexy. You can make it sexy. Anyway, guys, welcome and hello and welcome. I'm going to go on with this article. I don't think anybody's really watching this. Let's read a few comments. My commentary is absolutely horrible. We got Thomas Puzak. Indeed, sir. Indeed. I forgot. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Let's Poco. I forget to do that often. What's up, Poco time? What's up, Gavin? What's up, Vladi? How you doing? We got Bread Dad, One EV Industry, 2 different countries. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, though, I mean, Tesla is really to a high degree based in China. I mean, so much like China is the EV center of the world. Things are moving so fast. Guys, sorry, this stupid hat is hot. Sweating like a pig, sweating like a whore in church. China is the center of the EV world. They're innovating at a pace that's just unthinkable in the United States or Europe with the auto industry. And Europe's partnering with them, but they're going to get run the fuck over, dude. Move, get out the way. We got Deep Night Labs. Let's go. Yeah, SoFi is better. So don't even want a Lambo truck. Dude, I wouldn't even fit in a Lambo. It'd be like totally impossible. I have actually been in a Lambo, and just in the passenger seat, I don't even fit. Captain, my captain. Neo still being, Neo, I mean, they borrowed 10 million shares yesterday. I haven't checked the short interest. I got this swag going on. Yeah, Stockman Mark, how you doing? That's my Raiders captain's hat. I saw that on Amazon or eBay or something, and idiotically ordered one. What's up, Mr. Nobody? Hello and welcome. Where's the first mate? I don't text Not a Lurker like after 9:30, 10. I really don't want to piss off Mrs. Lurker, and also the guy needs to sleep because that sheen on the top of his head, if he doesn't get his 8 hours, that sheen can be just a little bit off, and that's one of the keys to his success. Just sit back and you will indeed hear a tale. It's Blackbeard Danny. Arr. It's like the old pirate said, "Arr, you ladies single?" Like all those idiotic pirate pickup lines. This is where the SoFi nerds hang out. I don't know. SoFi, we're all nerds. We're all nerds on YouTube, man. If we were cool, we wouldn't be spending our time on YouTube. And you certainly wouldn't be spending your time watching Un Poco Mas. But pardon me, guys. Still dealing with a little bit of a head cold. Didn't mean to snort into my lapel microphone, my $8 Chinese lapel microphone. I hope the audio is much improved. You can tell I invest heavily in Un Poco Mas. I agree completely. Kramer, chicken is better than turkey. I don't get turkey. And if you're going to buy it, don't overcook it. Meat thermometer costs like $2. Yeah, SoFi is indeed still SoFly. It's going to $13.60 premium the option. I told you it was going past 1013. I'm telling you it's going to 1360. And when I'm right, I'm right. Mr. Potato Head in the house. Indeed, that's me. I know I have a giant head. Yeah, not a lurker, Birdie. I assume they're asleep. Yeah, no, I didn't make him walk the plank. No, he's fine. He's fine. He's alive. He's snoozing. He's snoring. His wife's hitting him with a pillow right now. Oh, you're snoring, not a lurker. The billionaire used the earnings call of his own publicly traded company to tout what he would do with a potential job in the Trump administration. This doesn't seem to hit sales. A lot of people think, oh, the liberals who buy the cars, the environmentalists, they're not going to buy a Tesla. But everyone says, oh, I'll buy a Hyundai. Oh, I'll buy this electric car. But I mean, to be honest with you, those cars are not as good as the Model 3 and Model Y in a lot of respects. And you definitely don't have the charging infrastructure you have with Tesla. I mean, for me in the United States, if I want an EV, my first go-to would be Tesla, not Hyundai, not any of the others, definitely not GM. The Silverado, like Ford was an epic fail basically with the Lightning. They couldn't sell those things to save their lives. Now, the Silverado, the GM product, looks much, much more compelling to me than the Lightning. The Lightning looks like it was just kind of rushed out on the exact same, Ford body they'd been using for a number of years. The GM looks like they'd been working on it from the ground up. So we'll have to see. But it looks like Cybertruck, even though it's not a huge amount of volume, it's really important to Tesla's bottom line, at least at the present time, as is the power side. So that's important too. Nice margins there. I don't know, Department of Government Efficiency. You have to take all this stuff with a grain of salt. I don't think Elon Musk really wants to be a full-time government guy. He's already running 15 companies. So Tesla shares soared 12% in post-market trading in New York, potentially erasing much of the 14% decline the stock has posted so far this year through Wednesday's close. And they're projecting slight growth in vehicle deliveries for the full year. And they're projecting, I believe it was 20 to 30% growth for next year. So Seth Goldstein, an analyst with Morningstar, said Tesla is benefiting from higher volumes and more stable prices. Prices are stabilizing and unit costs are coming down. It's just what you want to see. For the third quarter, Tesla reported adjusted earnings of 72 cents per share. So this is back to where they were almost when they had the blowout quarter, $6 billion or whatever it was. I think it was Q3 2023. I haven't looked back. Beating the average analyst estimate and snapping 4 consecutive quarters in which the measure missed expectations. The company's third quarter automotive gross margin, excluding regulatory credits, was 17.1%. That's pretty goddamn impressive in this environment. I mean, that's a lot of things were lining up against them. I mean, the interest rates were very, very tough. That's one of the primary. I know they can put their own interest rates in, and I just got an offer for 0% direct from Tesla, but it's very, very hard on households. I mean, households are looking at record credit card debt, record housing prices. Inflation's been high for the last few years. And then, so that's really going to hurt a discretionary purchase like a new EV. And so these margins, these figures, this is a really impressive quarter. I don't know any other way to slice it. I mean, this is really good stuff if you're a Tesla investor. So low expectations. Tesla's strong earnings report came less than 2 weeks after a glitzy event dedicated to the company's new Robo taxi, which disappointed many investors. Remember, the stock sold off pretty hard. So it's kind of one of those elevator scenarios where it's like, okay, down, elevator up. Like Elon Musk will let the air out of the balloon and then blow up the balloon, or vice versa. And he'll kind of do it intentionally, manipulatively. I don't know. When I saw that Robo Taxi event, I felt like he was trying to get the stock to temporarily sell off. So, he knew the ER was going to be good. He wanted it to run up, but if he ran it up a little bit on the tag, I don't know. I just don't know how the guy thinks, but I know he moves the stock on purpose. I mean, I know kind of all CEOs do, but I think he really does. I think he kind of micromanages the share price in a lot of ways. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I think he does. But I think a lot of executives do. Expectations were low heading into the release after 4 consecutive bottom line misses and a robo-taxi day that left investors more questions than answers. So they increased profitability was due to higher delivery volumes as well as booming sales, regulatory credits to other car makers. So that was revenue from regulatory credits came to $739 million in the 3 months ended September 30th, a record for the period, but below the $890 million in the second quarter. So that's a hell of a lot of revenue. I mean, that's over $1.5 billion just in 2 quarters. I mean, we're talking about these credits making up, a pretty decent portion of the company's top line. And, I believe they're basically gravy. So a lot of it goes right to the bottom line. The company also credits energy business as a revenue driver. Tesla has already deployed more storage products so far this year than in all of 2023. So that's, again, great news. This is a new business segment. It's virgin ground. They can plow it up and go to town. There's a lot of competitors in this area now, but Tesla definitely has the name recognition, the elegance, the look of their, what is it called? The Cyberwall or whatever the fuck, I can't remember. But including the 6.9 gigawatt hours of storage this quarter. The company is also expanding its charging network after the high-profile layoff. That was really weird. We still haven't got, they laid off the whole supercharging team. We haven't got a lot of news on that, but evidently it might have really helped with the operational cash flows, so operating cash flow. The company added 2,800 new stalls in the third quarter, 22% increase from the previous year. So that's great growth. I mean, the network continues to mature, so my guess is they just moved the supercharging team, gave the responsibility to another executive and kind of merged. I mean, that's really what Tesla tries to do. They try to take away superfluous parts, unnecessary complexity, try to make things more simple, less redundancy, less complexity, et cetera, et cetera. So Robotaxi, on Robotaxi, Tesla's vehicle without controls such as pedals or a steering wheel, the company said it will use a new unboxed manufacturing technique which differs from traditional production line by assembling parts simultaneously and dedicated. This is modular construction applied to cars. We kind of knew this was coming. This is really hard because by 2026, he's saying they're going to reach volume. Or, how are they going to get these factories actually building these cars, get these to market in volume by 2026 with a completely new manufacturing technique? I mean, that's what they said about Cybertruck. We're going to give a completely new manufacturing technique. But the problem is the timeline got pushed back, like 7 years or something? So that's why I was saying earlier, I think Robotaxi revenues like 2030. Real revenues, like in the US or Europe. I think Europe's going to be even harder on a regulatory basis. I think investors that are counting on like the federal government to just overrule all the states on the automotive rules, testing, they really don't know how entrenched bureaucracies are and how a lot of these things work. You're not just going to wave a magic wand and make Robotaxi legal everywhere, because you're going to have like high profile deaths, high profile crashes, and all the detractors, all the naysayers are going to say nay, and they're going to have this inroad to just throw a wet blanket on the whole thing. So it has to move slow, it has to be careful. Adoption, regulation, legal, I mean, it is much safer. I think anyone really can understand that most of the crashes, most of the fatalities come down to human error. People falling asleep, people being drunk, people not paying attention, people looking at their phones, people speeding, people tailgating, road rage, whatever it is. People watching U-turn videos in their car. So he expects autonomous versions of other vehicles as well. He said there's no need to wait for Robotaxi or Cybercab to experience full autonomy. We expect to achieve that within our existing vehicle lineup. He even dropped a hint about air taxis when asked about the slow development promised in the Roadster model. The CEO said Tesla remains focused on mass market vehicles, first part of its sustainability goals, but indicated his company is close to finalizing the design on that vehicle. He added that Peter Thiel, Musk's billionaire friend and venture capitalist, lamented about a lack of flying cars, to which Musk mused, "We'll see, Muskla." That was a kind of merging things together, but so this is what I mean. Okay, he's hinting that they're working on a flying car. They're going to have a flying car. I mean, monkeys might fly out of my Fiat ass too, but I'm not going to invest on that basis. I mean, there's already a lot of companies that are really far along on flying cars. And I know he could add autonomy, he could add AI, he could add chips, he can add all this stuff. I don't know if Tesla's future is in building hardware. I don't know if we really want them to mass produce, an economy car. Makes a lot more sense for them to, mass produce robots that are going to, earn revenue on a recurring basis. Because the margins on cars aren't that great in the first place. I mean, they crushed it, right? They had, $3 billion in free cash flow, but then again, their market cap's like $700 billion now. I mean, they just created $80 billion of market cap after hours, which is phenomenal. Anyway, guys, I could drone on and on. How about a little chart? I mean, I'm the chart master after all. I'm going to go home and get a new pair of tidy whities after this. Wait, I am home, so that's not necessary. Here's my opinion, just as the chart master, as a man who carries around a bag of flushable wipes at any given time. The stock's going to 300 in the near term. It's coming down, failing against this downtrend line over and over. So failing all the way back here in 2021, failing on this line again in 4 of 2022, failing here. Now, don't pay attention to these little one-day pump and dump deals, but failing on this line here against 710, failing again 9/10 2023, failing again 10/9 2023, failing again right at the end of the year 2023. Then the stock just takes this massive dip, finds support here along this line. Again, pay no attention, much like you shouldn't pay attention to these dump and pumps. Don't pay attention to this huge dip here. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's mechanics at work. But if you see it catches this trend line, and it's been pretty much on trend ever since. Now, I expect the stock will have found support here, which we know that it did now, and just explode to the upside. I expected it to do that before, but now, I didn't know the ER was going to be this good. I thought if the ER was going to be weak, we might fall back down here and catch support down here around 194-ish. But it turns out we're going to break through this line. So we failed 3 times at 250. Back here on the first of the year, then again July 8, and then again September 23, just in that area. I know it came up a little bit, but there's no market made. There's no consolidation above that level. Even over here, this is still failing at this line. It just started failing more at a horizontal line. And what's happening is the space-time continuum is bending from this giant, descending trend to an ascending trend, and that's what we have here. Even though the stock is failing, it's not really making higher highs. It is making higher lows all the way back here since April along this trend line quite nicely. So I expect it to explode. Challenge 300. Will it break through 300? I'm not really sure. Failed 300 right here again in July, failed at 300 here, but consolidated at this level. This is all the way back in August 2022. Let's zoom out even a little bit more. So guys, you can see how important this line has been for a long, long time. The fact that we're above it leaves a lot of headroom to the upside. This trend line, I don't know how meaningful this is at all, but we're in this little diamond here. It's going to break to the upside right now. Stock's going to have a lot of heat, a lot of the money that's been on the sideline, a lot of questions been about, can they improve those margins again? Can they have another quarter like they had in Q3 2023? And the answer is clearly a resounding yes. So a lot of the Tesla detractors, this one's going to be a little bit hard to mansplain away. So I think it breaks through here. I think it comes up through here. And I think really where it's going to top out might be somewhere 321, 322. I don't know. I'm just taking a wild guess, but this stock likes to make runs. And it's been really constrained. Like if you just almost draw like a little rectangle like right in this area, I mean, it wants to break out of this box. Tesla kind of trades in these weird boxes. Like you can have it trading a box here, but I think it breaks to the upside. I've watched this stock. I've traded this stock for a long, long time. I've been in and out of it more times than I can count. The last time I sold a significant number of shares was around, I think, this pump right here around 280. And then I bought quite a few shares in this area around 120, between 120 and 130 back here. Bought more shares here. You just get a sense when this thing's going up and down. And I'm looking at this chart. I'm looking at the news. I'm looking at the fundamentals. I'm looking at everything on the horizon. I'm looking about how retail, props this stock up. And I think even some institutions are going to be buying on the back of this. And with Musk saying, 20 to 30% vehicle growth next year, power growth probably higher. Other sectors of business we don't. Other sectors of the business might crop up we don't even know about. In terms of the short or anything like that, I don't think anybody's really so foolish to short this stock all that heavily. So yeah, it's today returned 400,000 shares. Cost to borrow is almost nothing. I would guess there's a very short interest below 3%. Cost to borrow nothing. Utilization nothing. So short is very insignificant. You want to read as kind of a brash bearish case. Take a look at Jonathan Weber today. Not as bad as expected, and he's still a strong sell on the stock. Overvalued, kind of all the usual stuff. But it's a pretty good article. It's well written. It's well thought out. I disagree with most all the conclusions. A meager 2% revenue increase. The numbers were a lot better than anybody thought they were going to be. That's just a fact, man. I mean, you can sort of do whatever you want, but you can pound on the table. But it was a really good quarter for Tesla. The operating margin rose to 10.8%. He makes a point that that's the same as BMW and just a little bit lower than Toyota. But let's keep in mind, Tesla doesn't have nearly the scale those companies have. So it's really, I mean, Toyota sells a ton of vehicles and they're a much more mature company. So I don't know. I don't really think it's a fair comparison, but it's a good article. It's a good article. I wouldn't trash it too badly. As far as re-ratings and stuff, I don't know if this is actually, I guess people haven't had a chance to re-rate yet. They probably will tomorrow. But, as of right now, the analysts were a little bit bearish, but I think we'll get some re-ratings to the upside. As far as that goes, in terms of the put-call ratio, it's pretty bullish in terms of OPEX in 2 days, and then it gets a lot more mixed the next week, and going forward, it's a little bit more mixed. So I think people were, the options traders, the smart money was fairly bearish actually coming into this ER, and that's reflected when you look at maximum pain. Maximum pain was $220 coming up to the weekly OPEX. And you can see that represented the open interest here, which is, of course, all the contracts created since the beginning of time that are out there in the ether available to be traded. And then the volume, which is sort of what, came in today, basically on the daily stuff. You have just, an ass load of calls coming in at 220. Just the calls are staggered. This is kind of how they always are. Like, people are playing all kinds of hedges and just all sorts of trades with the stock, but it's lined up. The bears were strong today. I mean, the bears came in with a lot of puts, and they're getting their asses completely handed to them. those selling calls again, just might be in big trouble, because I think the stock breaks down $250 tomorrow. I think there's going to be a lot of buying pressure on the stock. A lot of people think it's going to sell back off at the open, maybe be up 5%. I think there's a lot of Tesla bulls who kind of, took some profits, if you will, and maybe have some cash on the sideline. A lot of smarter people are holding on to cash. There's just a lot of uncertainty. Market looked pretty hot. People, everyone in the media is right now saying, hey, it's going to be the epic Armageddon, biggest drop in market history. I don't believe that at all. I think this Tesla ER bodes very, very well for consumer confidence, for the economy. If they don't do another rate cut right away, things get. I think the economy did very well under high inflation. I mean, that's just another way to look at it. I don't know. Anyway, guys, that's been Tesla. Anybody have any interesting comments? The fireman, what's going on? Premium the option. Danny, the macro news is not good right now. Folks just have the extra cash to be buying new cars. I mean, apparently they do. I mean, not everybody, but they're telling you 20 to 30% growth next year. So we'll have to see if they can come through. Good night, Rodolfo. Hope you have a great evening. Sweet dreams. Let's see. Premium the option. One of the hack I've learned over the years, just roll the next higher strikes. Only 1 or 2 weeks out. No harm in trailing the stock right there. The Apodo, I'm getting smoked on my Tesla covered calls. Going to have to roll them. Bad boy. Everybody is, man. Everybody is. What's up, buddy? Talking to Mark. Danny may not walk the plank. No, guys. Yeah, that's it for the comments, guys. Let's see. I don't know what else. Would be going on. It's just kind of interesting to see what the actual short interest was looking like on the stock over the last few days. Yeah, wow. Yeah, today today it was shorted heavily. So yeah, back 50, not super heavy, but yeah, the stock been quite bearish for the last month. So I don't know. Some people are going to be getting called into their boss's office tomorrow morning, wondering why they continue to bet against Tesla. Why? Oh, why? Oh, why? Buying on calls plus my way too large position. There you go, Dale P. It's nice. It's nice to have a really big position when a stock is skyrocketing after hours, and you're going to wake up in the morning to a huge green number in your account. I envy you, sir. Now, I have a pretty big Tesla position myself, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's not my biggest. My biggest position is still Microsoft. Tesla is probably my third biggest position. I think SoFi is my fourth biggest position, or fifth. I think NEO is probably around 10th. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. So, guys, it's Tesla. It's up 12% after hours on really good margins, really good cash flows. Even the top line was just under projections. That, really doesn't matter. The point is, with what they sold, they were making a lot more money, which is great news for Tesla investors. Thanks for joining me, guys. Sorry, my first Tesla video here in a long time was a lot of rambling, but I'm kind of getting reacquainted with the stock. I just, I can trade it when it gets really high, really low, but over my core position, I just want to own the stock for the long term and see where this thing goes. It's such an exciting, unique company, and they really haven't borne fruit yet with all the supercomputing, the chips, the robots, the FSD. I mean, they've been working on FSD for a long, 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 long time now. And I know they've been selling it. I know there's lawsuits, but it hasn't really had a chance to bear fruit. So I think it will. I think they're getting there. I think the software looks amazing. The demos that I've seen look amazing. And regulatory approval is a whole nother story. Quite frankly, I think before this becomes a good-sized business, it's going to be at least 2030 in the United States. And there's a lot of I was looking in China, there's companies that are on like their 10th generation of Robo. The difference is Tesla's model. The difference is Tesla's data. The difference is Tesla is not doing like a little navigate on autopilot, see other objects with a LiDAR, get out of the way. Tesla's solving a complex problem. Tesla's saying, hey, I'm here. I want to be 100 miles from here. Get there. And the car has to figure out how to do that, what's the best way to do that, how to do it safely, how to avoid obstacles, anything that it comes across, it doesn't immediately recognize. It has to figure out the problem and keep going. It's not 100% yet, but nobody else that I know of is anywhere close to doing what Tesla's like. GM, like Super Cruise and all that kind of thing. That all is based on like mapping. This is not the same thing. Tesla is very unique. Don't let people tell you, oh, everybody else, people are saying, oh, NIO is actually on level 4. Bullshit. NIO is not anywhere near Tesla on FSD, not on your life. Anybody who tells you that is just blowing hot smoke right up your schvinky winky. So don't bend over for that one. You're going to get a guided tour of the 50 states, I tell you. Okay, guys, it's Poco Moss. It's the Tesla stock, ticker symbol TSLA. Sorry to put you through this video, guys. I appreciate you watching. Peace. I'm out.